Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to have a look at the summary of chapter 3 of the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell. We also have an analysis of chapter 3. In chapter 3, the animals spend a laborious summer harvesting in the fields. The clever pigs think of ways for the animals to use the humans' tools, and every animal participates in the work, each according to his capacity. The resulting harvest exceeds any that the farm has ever known. Only Molly and the cat shirk their duties. The powerful and hardworking boxer does most of the heavy labor, adopting I will work harder as a personal motto. The entire animal community reveres his dedication and strength. Of all the animals, only Benjamin, the obstinate donkey, seems to recognize no change under the new leadership. Every Sunday, the animals hold a flag raising ceremony. The flag's green background represents the fields of England, and its white hoop and horn symbolize the animals. The morning rituals also include a democratic meeting at which the animals debate and establish new policies for the collective good. At the meetings, Snowball and Napoleon always voice the loudest opinions, though their views always clash. Snowball establishes a number of committees with various goals, such as cleaning the cows' tails and re educating the rats and rabbits. Most of these committees fail to accomplish their aims, but the classes designed to teach all the farm animals how to read and write meet with some success. By the end of the summer, all of the animals achieve some degree of literacy. The pigs become fluent in reading and writing, while some of the dogs are able to learn to read the seven commandments. Muriel, the goat, can read scraps of newspaper, while Clover knows the alphabet but cannot string the letters together. Poor Boxer never gets beyond the letter D when it becomes apparent that many of the animals are unable to memorize the seven commandments. Snowball reduces the principles to one essential maxim, which he says contains the heart of animalism: four legs good, two legs bad. The birds take offense until Snowball hastily explains that wings count as legs. The other animals accept the maxim without argument, and the sheep begin to chant it at random times, mindlessly, as if it were a song. Napoleon takes no interest in Snowball's committees. When the dogs Jessie and Bluebell each give birth to the puppies, he takes the puppies into his own care, saying that the training of the young should take priority over adult education. He raises the puppies in a loft above the harness room, out of sight of the rest of animal farm. Around this time, the animals discover to their to their outrage that the pigs have been taking all of the milk and apples for themselves. Squealer explains to them that pigs need milk and apples in order to think well, and since the pig's work is brain, so since the pig's work is brain work, it is in everyone's best interest for the pigs to eat the apples and drink the milk. Should the pig's brain fail because of a lack of apples and milk, Squealer hints Mr. Jones might come back to take over the farm. This prospect frightens the other animals, and they agree to forego milk and apples in the interest of the collective good. This is the summary of chapter 3. Now we will have the analysis of chapter 3. Boxer's motto in response to the increased labors on animal farm of I will work harder is an exact echo of the immigrant Rudku's motto in response to the financial problems in Upton Sinclair's jungle. Whereas Boxer exerts himself for the common good, as his socialist society dictates he must, Jurgis exerts himself for his own good, as his capitalist society dictates he must. Both possesses a blind faith that the key to happiness lies in confronting to the existing political economic system. Committed to socialism, Orwell would almost certainly have read The Jungle, which published in its entirety in 1906, was a searing indictment of capitalism and galvanized the American socialist movement. His appropriation of Jurgis' motto for Boxer implicitly links the operation of capitalism with that of totalitarian communism, as in each case the state wholly ignores the suffering of those who strive to be virtuous and work within the system. The varying degrees of literacy among the animals suggest the necessity of sharing information in order for freedom to be maintained. To the pig's credit, they do try to teach the other animals the basics of reading and writing, but the other animals prove unable or unwilling. The result is a dangerous imbalance in knowledge, as the pigs become the sole guardians and interpreters of animal farm's guiding principles. The discrepancy among the animals' capacity for abstract thought leads the pigs to condense the seven commandments into one supreme slogan: four legs good, two legs bad. The bird's objection to the slogan points immediately to the phrase excessive simplicity, whereas the seven commandments that the pigs formulate are a detailed mix of anti human directives: no animal shall wear clothes, moral value judgments, no animal shall kill another animal, and utopian ideals, all animals are equal. The new reductive slogan contains none of these elements. It merely establishes a bold dichotomy that masks the pig's treachery. The motto has undergone such generalization that it has become propaganda, a rallying cry that will keep the common animals focused on the pig's rhetoric so that they will ignore their own unhappiness. In its simplicity, this new brief slogan is all too easy to understand and becomes ingrained in even the most dull witted of minds that cannot think critically about how the slogan, while seeming to galvanize the animals' crusade for freedom, actually enables the pigs to institute their own oppressive regime. The animals themselves may be partially responsible for this power imbalance. On the whole, they show little true initiative to learn. The dogs have no interest in reading anything but the seven commandments, and the Benjamin decides not to put his ample reading skill to use. Though the birds don't understand Snowball's long winded explanation of why wings count as legs, they accept it nonetheless, trusting in their leader. It would be unfair, however, to fault the common animals for their failure to realize that the pigs mean to oppress them. Their fervor in singing Beasts of England and willingness to follow the pig's instructions demonstrate their virtuous desire to make life better for one another. The common animals cannot be blamed for their lesser intelligence. The pigs, however, mix their intelligence with ruthless guile and take advantage of the other animals' apathy, their machinations, and reprehensible. Squealer figures crucially in the novel as his proficiency in spreading life-filled propaganda allows the pigs to conceal their acts of greed beneath a veneer of common good. His statements and behaviors exemplify the linguistic and psychological methods that the pigs use to control the other animals while convincing them that the strict regime is essential if the animals want to avoid becoming subject to human cruelty again. In the opinion of Orwell, the socialist goals of the Russian Revolution quickly became meaningless, rhetorical tools used by the communists to control the people. The intelligentsia began to interpret the good of the state to mean the good of itself as a class, and anyone who opposed it was branded an enemy of the people. On Animal Farm, Squealer makes himself useful to the other pigs by pretending to side with the oppressed animals and falsely aligning the common good with the good of the pigs. This is the analysis of chapter 3rd. In the next lecture, we are going to deal with summary of chapter 4. Thank you.